Good morning. We will call the May 19th, 2025 work session of the Douglas County Board of Commissioners to order. Welcome, citizens of Douglas County. County Clerk, please take the roll for the record.
Yes, ma'am. District 1 Commissioner Henry Mitchell, he is absent.
Okay.
District 2 Commissioner Whitney Kenner Jones.
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Martin Raxton.
Present.
District 4 Commissioner Vice Chair Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Chairman Dr. Ramona Jackson Jones.
Present. Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. Next, Board of Commissioners, we'll move to the agenda adoption. Commissioners, we have an agenda item deferred from May 5th work session. Do we have a motion to bring back the following agenda item back to the work session agenda? And let me read that for you. Approval to purchase a software module for Central Square in the amount of not to exceed $65,000 to facilitate the integration of the Douglas County 911 and Douglas County Sheriff's Office computer-aided dispatch, which is we refer to as CAD systems, to be funded through the fund balance, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And also we need to remove tab number 16 per your agreement, tab number 17, number 18, and 19 for further assessment. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda as read, Board of Commissioners?
So moved.
Can you just read the numbers?
Yeah.
One? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
That's
I'm
what I was gonna ask again.
Number 16.
Okay.
Number 17. Number 18. And number 19 for further assessment.
No, to be removed
Yeah,
and to be
we're just gonna,
tabled.
yeah, also, yeah, just to be removed, not tabled.
Not tabled. Okay.
And then the other item, do I need to restate what, okay. Do we have a motion? I'll try it again.
So moved.
Okay, do we have a second?
Are we taking the two items separately or as one?
We can,
Is that a discussion question? I don't know.
it is not, but if you all want to take it separately, we can. It's certainly the will of the board. You want it separately?
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
I
Okay.
think that's easier.
Okay, the first one, approval to purchase a software module for the Central Square in the amount of not to exceed. So we have a motion, and then do we have a second? Second. Do we have a motion and a second? Board, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Reason
Vice Chair?
I was requesting for this to be brought back on is because there is a time delay in regards to some of the calls that are being transferred from 911 to our Sheriff's Department dispatch, and just for the sake of public safety and, time is of the essence when those calls come in, I would like to just have this put back on the agenda so we can have a discussion about this. And our Deputy Chief Connor is here, and I would like for him to at least have an opportunity to explain that line item.
Okay. And then also, I believe we have our 911
Yes.
Director, Katrina Hartley, here as well, Miss Katrina Hartley. Okay.
And I guess my question would be, has 911 had the opportunity to prepare the presentation to go along with this agenda item that I requested, and is that going to be a part of the discussion today?
I hope so. I'm hoping that's the plan. As we continue to deal with time as tissue, certainly since we've recognized as a board that there is a gap.
Because I know we had told them
Yes,
that
I'm hoping
they would
we
have
did.
till the beginning of
Right.
June to prepare for that.
Correct.
Right.
In addition to any financial considerations that also need to be considered from multiple departments.
Okay. Are we willing to just listen to see what they have already come up with, y'all?
I guess I can clarify. If the presentation is ready to go, then I don't have any reason to not hear it. I just want to make sure that because we had extended that courtesy and had given them a specific time frame to have it prepared, out of fairness, if they're not prepared, then I wouldn't want to do that. But if they're fine with it, then I'm
Okay. Chief and Director Harley, can you come forward and just give us an update? Tell us where you are. Do you have any plans?
Madam Chair,
Can we
you have
do-
a motion on the floor and a
Right, got a
second
motion.
to
Okay.
add it. So if we're going to add it, let's get a vote on that.
Okay. Okay. We're just adding. She just said we adding, so I gotta get a vote on the adding. We're not agreeing to do anything, we just wanna add it to the agenda, and that'll give us time to discuss it at that time. So, hold on for a second. Chief, hold on. So we're just adding. This is just my request to add, or not my request, but this is just a request. So can we add it so we can at least have some discussion?
So I guess, again, the question on the table begs, based on the prior request, has that been satisfied and resolved? And I'm not sure that we've gotten a resolution to that yet. But we're still waiting on additional information even to have the conversation.
I know, but I'm trying to see what we can do to even allow conversation to even go forth. If we just add it, doesn't mean you have to approve it. You just want to add it to the agenda so we can at least discuss it. Is that an
No,
option?
That's
I'm
fine.
tracking you, Madam Chair. Part of the discussion for me was having the presentation about what the actual issue is, where is the disconnect, so that we are making a well-informed decision that takes into account our entire public safety offerings and not just one department. So if Director Harley's presentation is available, then I would have no objection to having this added as an agenda item for discussion and consideration today. But if that's not prepared and available, I would ask that we stick to the same schedule that we previously had to make sure that when we have the discussion, it's as robust as possible so that we're making the best decision.
Right.
Madam Chair, I think
Okay.
it'll be appropriate just to find out if they're prepared to present if it is added. But that's it, like a yes
Okay.
or no if they're prepared to present.
Thank you so much, Madam Attorney. You get it, because I was trying to do that. I just want to make sure. So could you all just come forth, please, Director Hartley and Chief Connors, if you just give us an idea as we deal with time is tissue. Please, just, if you could just update us, do you have anything prepared to share about what you have done to discuss the possibility of this software even coming forth? Have you developed a plan? I believe that's something.
I think the only question is,
Are you
if
prepared?
it's added, are you prepared to report on it?
Yes.
Okay.
We can speak about it, yes.
Okay. Okay. Are you okay with that? All right. Thank you so much. And we'll call you in just a second. I'm just trying to get it added to the agenda.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion? We have a motion and a second on the floor. We have a motion and a second. Is any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of adding this item, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 4 unanimous vote and the motion carries. Okay, Board, we're going to move to tab. Certainly, I'll call a motion to see if you're in agreement to add tab number 16, tab number 17, tab number 18, and 19 for further
To remove it.
assessment.
It's
to be-
remove,
to
not
remove it.
add.
Be removed.
To remove
To
it. Yes.
remove.
To remove.
Did I say
Yes.
added?
You
Yes,
got me.
ma'am.
Yeah.
It's early. Okay, to be removed.
So
Do we have
moved.
a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, Board? We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand if you agree to remove it. We have a 4 unanimous vote and the motion carries. All right. Board of Commissioners, remember, just please be mindful, we have 3 minutes to make our remarks and 2 minutes for rebuttal. Approval of the minutes is next on our agenda. Next on our agenda are the meeting minutes. Commissioners, please review the minutes and be prepared to vote accordingly at tomorrow's meeting. Our agenda items, Clerk, did we have anyone sign up for public
No,
comment?
ma'am, we did not.
Okay, I noticed it was not on my script, but thank you. All right, we will now begin our agenda items. Clerk, please begin with the first item.
Yes, ma'am. The next item will be the acceptance of the monthly financial budget report for the month of April 2025. Just be prepared to adopt that tomorrow. Next, we will have a proclamation tomorrow proclaiming the month of May 2025 as National Treatment Court Month in Douglas County. Chief Judge Cynthia Adams will be here to read that tomorrow.
Okay.
Number 7, under grants, we have, I'm sorry, we have approval to accept $4,000 added to the state DUI drug court grant A25-8-009 to be used for technology expenses and amend the budget. We have Teresa Gordy here. I will bring to your attention number 8, 9, 10, and 11 are all the same funding acceptance. So if you have, I guess, specific questions to those individual ones, we can call those up. But if not, we can just move on to number 12 after Teresa. Teresa?
Good morning. The
Good
Council
morning.
of Accountability Court Judges has given each accountability court in the state an additional $4,000 added to their fiscal year 25 grant to purchase technology items that are solely to be used for accountability courts.
Okay, any questions, board? Or
Just a quick
Teresa?
question.
Okay. Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good morning. So just a quick question and just a clarification, and I know from items 7, 8, 9, and 10, each was awarded $4,000. Is that a total of $20,000 that was awarded?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. And then secondly, all of them have a date to have purchases made by 6:30.
Correct.
I just want to confirm that we're all ready to make those purchases before that deadline so we don't miss that.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
It has to be submitted with our final reimbursement request for this fiscal year, which will be due July 15th. So we all have to make those purchases quickly.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and we're good, and we know what we're going to get?
Yes, sir. We're
Okay,
good.
great. All right, thank you. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Teresa, and thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Madam Clerk?
Okay, are we good to move on to number 12?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So number 12, we have approval of a resolution regarding the Chief Judge and Superior Court presiding judge's fringe benefits, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief Judge Cynthia Adams is here to answer questions.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for holding for my time. So this is a resolution that I am presenting to the commissioners, asking for an approval of a resolution that's been drafted regarding both our chief judge as well as our presiding judges, allowing for a fringe benefit for the presiding judge and for the chief judge. The easiest way for me to do this quickly so that I don't take up too much of your time, there is a new bill, a House Bill 85 that was recently signed that restructures the salary for your Superior Court judges. And part of that bill does have certain provisions in it that does not allow changes to be made going forward after June 30th of this year. And so, again, this is something that I'm trying to put into place for two positions which have always existed, the Chief Superior Court Judge as well as your presiding judges. Your Chief Superior Court Judge is, the best way to explain it, is basically the manager of the Douglas County Judicial Circuit, meaning that we make sure that our judicial circuit is running properly, is operating properly. But more than that, the chief judge is responsible for several community-related type committees, forming those committees, making sure those committees are running properly, that they're in place, in addition to the business of the court, including closing the courthouse when we are dealing with any emergency, inclement weathers, and just making sure the judicial system as a whole is running properly. Your presiding judges, we have 2 terms of courts here in Douglas County. We have an April to October term and then an October to April term. During each of those terms, your Superior Court judges switch off. It's an off and on kind of circulating type duty, where we will take on the role of the presiding judge for the court, and that presiding judge is the one who's responsible for dealing with any things that come up. For example, pro se litigants will file documents, affidavits, jury excuses, and so forth. I just came back from the jury deliberation room speaking to about 500 folks about jury service and excusing folks who are eligible to be excused. And so there is an added responsibility for our presiding judge. Now, again, one of the things that I will just say is, a lot of folks might say, well, why now? Why now? We've always had a chief judge. We've always had a presiding judge here in the county. And what I will say to that is, yes, that is true. We've always had a chief judge. But this bill, I think it makes it important to show your judges, your chief judge, as well as your presiding judge, that something can be put into place by the county that says we recognize the fact that you are having to do this extra work. You are doing this work on top of your caseload. You're running your accountability courts because it is something that cannot be done later on based on this new bill. But second to that as well, I think it is something where I think you tell your judges that even as we're getting new judges, I tell folks all the time, when you serve as a judge, you can serve as a Superior Court judge, you can serve as a judge on the appellate court, you can serve as the judge on the Supreme Court. And so this is not something for, we're saying, hey, give your judges something extra. We're saying create this for the positions that you have here in Douglas County. And whether that person is me or the person that comes after me, you will have it in place because after June 30th, the bill will not allow you to have it in place. If there are any questions for me, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
Thank you.
And I
sir.
will add that this is a budget neutral bill as far as the Superior Court budget is concerned. And so this is not something that we are necessarily asking for additional money. As a matter of fact, if the judges decide to opt into this bill, it will be saving the county money.
Okay. Thank you so much, Judge Adams. Any questions for our Superior Court, our Chief Judge? Do you have any questions?
When you say opting in to the bill, are you saying in the version of the resolution that you wrote, or if we stick with the?
Right. So House Bill 85 gives every Superior Court judge an option to opt in.
Right.
And so it just says if judges opt in, then you are under the new structure of House Bill 85. If you don't opt in, then everything just stays the same. It stays the way that it is. But this resolution is a separate resolution, again, outside of House Bill 85. Because what I'm asking is for the county to put something into place that protects its chief judge as well as its presiding judges.
And how was the amount for the fringe benefits calculated? Because I see here it's $1,000 for the chief judge and then $250 per month for the two presiding judges?
For the one presiding judge. So there'll always be one presiding judge. And again, when you think about it, the amount of work that we do, we easily could have said being the chief judge is a whole nother job that could probably pay, anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 a year. But this is not something where, anyone's asking for a substantial amount or a raise. We're just asking the county to say, okay, we're putting something in place to recognize. And even for the presiding judge, again, it easily could have been more. I don't know that any of the judges in all the times that they've been here, I know that I've been here since 2017, have ever asked or said, for a raise or an increase in our supplement. Again, this ask is to say, let's put this in place because of what this bill represents. And I want to make sure that it is in place and it is secure, again, for those two positions. If the county is so inclined and the county says, because of the hard work, perhaps it should be something different, I understand and would accept that as well.
And the resolution itself, though, is the net neutral. This is already accounted for in the Superior Court's budget. It's just that you would be reallocating funds that you already have.
That is correct.
And is that going to have an adverse impact to any of the additional programs that you all currently offer?
Not at all. Not at all.
And do you foresee in the future, because obviously services are getting more expensive, would this have a potential negative impact to that budget?
It should not have any impact on our budget at all, again, because the amount is so small. We try to be very fiscally responsible with the Superior Court budget that we receive from the county. I don't foresee any impact on any of our programs. I preside over the mental health court. Judge Wallace and Judge Warren, they preside over our drug court and our veterans court and our opioid court. And so we try to make sure that with all of those programs that we have adequate funding to take care of those. This doesn't even come close to impacting any of our budgets, any of our programs. We've tried to make sure to make room for our supplies, for our supply budget. You know, there are a lot of things that we're working on right now, that I'm working on. You know, we talked the other day about some restructuring that's happening in the courthouse under my watch. You know, I'll put it out there that I'm trying to create a cafe for our bailiffs so that they'll have a space and a room. So a lot of things that we're working on, but it is not impacting our budget. We are sticking within our budget in handling all of those things.
And then just my last question, for the public's knowledge, the only reason that you all are currently addressing only the Superior Court because you are actually the chief judge for all of Douglas County's court system. You're the highest judge that we have.
So I am the chief judge that is responsible for the Douglas County Judicial Circuit. Of course, we have our chief state court judge, we have our chief magistrate court judge and juvenile court judge. I am responsible for, first of all, for the judicial circuit and the running of the circuit and the courthouse. But also I am requesting this because House Bill 85 directly impacts the Superior Court judges. It does not impact the state court judges who are county paid or any of the other judges. The Superior Court judges are the only judges that are county paid. And so, I'm sorry, the Superior Court judges are the only judges that are state paid. And so this would not impact. Of course, at any point that any of the other judges want to come to the commissioners and ask for something, there's no legislation from the state necessarily that's keeping them from being able to do that.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I yield back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Kenner Jones. Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Judge Adams.
Good morning, Commissioner.
So again, what we're not talking about here today is House Bill 85, as far as the opting-in, opting out. This is not related to that at all.
It is related. It is related because of the language that is directly in House Bill 85, which says any fringe benefits that counties have in place for their judges, as long as it's in place before June 30th of 2025. However, if it is not in place as of June 30th, 2025, then the county, you all cannot do anything for your chief superior court judge, your presiding judge. You cannot, and that's the language in the bill.
Okay.
And so the resolution, again, which is why in the resolution I've asked that it be effective as of June 1st of 2025. And even though it will be effective as of June 1st, 2025, again, it's already in our budget enough to cover that, to handle it. And the House Bill 85 itself, even though it has language that purports to say that if the county does not have something in place necessarily before June 30th, 2025, House Bill 85, which takes effect July 1st, 2025, I believe that the funding and all the things that come with it take effect beginning of January of 2026. So House Bill 85 is the reason, really, why I'm standing here before y'all today.
Okay, so it's, okay, all right, great. All right, yeah, because I know in House Bill 85 it talks about the opting out, opting in, but that's not what we're talking about
That's
for
right.
this discussion here.
That is correct.
Okay, great. All right, well, thank you. That's all the questions I had. Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Any other questions, board? All right, thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you
Chief
so
Judge.
much.
All
Thank you
right.
again.
Okay. All right. Madam Clerk,
Okay.
you have the floor.
Number 13, approval of a car allowance agreement for Andrea Moldovan, Chief Assistant Solicitor, in the amount of $250 per pay period, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. And this is for a name change only. Solicitor Sonia Compton is here to answer any questions.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Madam Solicitor.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, and you all?
Great.
Good. Yes, we're asking for a $250 for a car allowance for Andrea Moldovan. Before it was with Jacob Taylor. He's no longer with us. She's assumed his position, and we're just asking to transfer the funds over. Nothing additional. It's already in the budget.
Okay, any questions, board?
Nope.
All right, thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Great day.
You too.
Madam Clerk?
Okay, we'll move to item number 14, approval of an agreement with West Georgia Regional Library System to sublease space for the temporary location of the Douglas County Public Library while the library is closed for renovation, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Lindy Moore.
Good morning. Yes, this is just a sublease agreement at no additional cost to the county. With the agreement that we have with the West Georgia Regional Library System, all of the book materials money that we had paid through our contract with the region is going, that's where this money is coming from, so it's no additional cost to the county.
Okay. Any questions, board? All right,
All
thank
right.
you so much, Lindy.
Thank you.
All right, Director.
Number 15, approval of Atlantic Coast Consulting Task Order 2025-05 for general consulting services for Trench 8 base grade skating and verification in the amount of $5,500 to be funded from the landfill's budget, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Heath Cowart.
Good morning, Madam Chair,
Good
Vice Chair,
morning.
Commissioners, staff. So this is this is Trench 8. We did a survey a few months ago, and we dug everything down to exactly where we thought it was, and then we had another survey to check it, and we were off. We've made all the corrections. It's been resurveyed. Everything's submitted to state and approved. So this is just the second fee for the base staking and grading of that, so we could bring it back up to the right level. But it's all in landfill budget, and we have about 7 days left when we can start putting trash in that, according to the state. So
Okay.
it's a good last piece. You'll hear me talk about Trench 8.
Okay. Any questions, board? Just had one question for you, Director.
Yes, ma'am.
You said you're checking the levels. Are you checking levels of methane? What are you checking? If you
No,
could-
ma'am, this is actual survey, the elevations of
The
the
elevations.
trench. Yeah, so this trench is the bottom of an actual new cell. So it's like a minor modification to the landfill. It's the last cell we have to come up with C&D. There'll be 2 additional lifts on top of this, and it'll go into post-closure at that point.
Okay.
But we'll have the new transfer station up and running, and
That's
it's doing
great.
great, by the way. We'll, even with all the rain, we're on schedule, and we'll be done with all concrete pours by the end of this month. So it's exciting.
Sounds like we're getting ready to cut some ribbons.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. we're-
All right. Any other questions, board? All right, thank you so much,
Thank
Director.
y'all. Have a great day.
Mm-hmm. Madam Clerk?
Yes, ma'am. We'll go ahead and move to the agenda item that we added.
Mm-hmm.
Approval to purchase a software module from Central Square in the amount not to exceed $65,000 to facilitate for the integration of the Douglas County 911 and Douglas County Sheriff's Office computer-aided dispatch, which is CAD systems, to be funded through the fund balance, and authorize the chairman to sign all related documents pending final legal review. Chief, or Katrina?
I believe he stepped out, him and the sheriff stepped out in the hallway. If somebody,
Can somebody get
Yep.
Chief? Thank you.
So we'll go ahead and have Katrina Harley.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Board of Commissioners.
Good
Morning.
morning. Good morning.
So this was an agenda item that was added by our Douglas County Sheriff's Office for a CAD to CAD integration with E911. What this will allow is for Sheriff Dispatch to see into 911's CAD to see a call as it comes in. So this mitigates, but it doesn't entirely resolve, because there will still be a need to transfer those calls that belong to Sheriff Dispatch or those calls that will require sheriff dispatch to also still be transferred. So again, it mitigates but doesn't entirely resolve.
Right.
And
Chief,
good morning.
come up, Chief, too. Deputy. He said, get up.
I'll just explain.
So basically, I've just got the cost of the integration. We both use Central Square. So we've been on what used to be Central Square for almost, 10 years now, I guess. And so at some point prior to Katrina taking the position she's in, it was determined that 911 would be going to Central Square. Well, that would have been a good time that it could have been communicated and we could have integrated this back then. So it hasn't been, and we can't see what they're doing, they can't see what we're doing, and also the city of Douglasville's on the same system because when 911 changed, they had to change. So what this integration would do would allow us, so yes, they'll still have to transfer calls, but as they're taking the call, their operators putting in the information, and prior to really determining what's going on, they're getting the location, the name, and everything, and then find out what's going on. So we would be getting that initial information, and so there's a directive out as far as if a call involves medical dispatch, emergency medical dispatch, they're holding on to the call. And so what happens is they're handling the medical portion of it, and their operators work in getting the information law enforcement needs, but the medical and the medical attention is coming first. So if they're retaining this call doing the medical, then we're able to see suspect information on the scene and that sort of thing prior to actually getting, or not even getting the call, which gives my guys some idea of what they're going into and who to be looking for when they get there. So with the Central Square integration, there's professional services, which is the installation, the configuring, the training. It is $29,222.70, and I'm getting this directly from Central Square and split it in half, $14,611.35 between the two. Then on top of that, you have the subscription fee. So that's just getting it in, configuring it, and giving us training on how to set it up. So the yearly subscription is $31,500. So that would be a reoccurring cost for the first year is $31,500, and so split between the two is $15,750. And then there's a portion that's $2,730, and this is the community data platform. And what this does is it allows the systems to communicate historical data, so which is beneficial to the sheriff's office because any call that 911 got prior to the implementation of this new system, we still wouldn't have access to. So if our investigators are looking for a caller that called in about this particular case because they saw a car that could lead back to another crime, then that historical data helps us in our investigations portion. And then the 2730 also connects us to the city of Douglasville, so we'll see all the calls that they go out on. So, criminals and they don't look at lines, the county line, the city line, the other county lines. They're committing crime. So the city of Douglasville may work a case that we don't have any knowledge of, but it overlays into a case we do, like an interauto. So they may do interautos in the city's working the case, we hear about it, we don't really got a lot of information about it, but then we end up having some interautos in the county, and then we can look back at their system and we can get suspect information. So that portion of the integration is very important to help investigations. So the initial cost, and with the one-year subscription, is $63,452.70. The next year, if we go into the second year, which I don't know if you got into the system at all, I think that 911 may be looking at a different system software in the future. But if that takes place, I'm sure it's at least a year out in integration and implementation if it ain't that far. So if we do this first year, we can always cancel because it's a reoccurring subscription if we go to a different platform. But if we keep it, the second year is $33,075. So there is an increase yearly. I think it's 5% every year from the initial cost. So that kind of covers a little bit of the information. And I don't know what other questions you may have for me or the sheriff.
Anything else? Thank you so much, Chief. Anything else? Director Harley, I know you said it mitigated. And I believe I heard you say, Chief, that you all could see the same thing. You're singing from the same sheet of music. Everybody can see the screen now. Right now, what are you doing? If you can't see what Director Harley see, what will this system, what is the main component element of this system that will make us more efficient and respond?
So when somebody calls in and they call in the 911, the initial response is to get their name, verify their name and the address and location, that sort of thing, and kind of find out what's going on. Well, that operator takes that information and they're typing it into their system. Well, if they eventually decide it has to come to the sheriff's office, they transfer the call to the sheriff's office, and our operator's got to get the same information, which is a time delay. Yeah. And it aggravates people sometimes, you know, especially in an emergency situation where they're wanting you there now, and so this would cause us to be able to see what they initially put in, and maybe just either, you know, as simple as verifying, or we wouldn't have to go back and ask a name and spelling and, you know, and address again and location and all that kind of stuff. We're already ahead of the game because the information's already been taken compared to where we're at today.
Okay. Any questions for Commissioner Kendall Jones? You have the floor.
So you said that the Central Square is the current system, but there are other systems that are available?
Yes, so there are many CAD systems, computer-aided dispatch systems, through which 911 could integrate its work. Our current contract with Central Square actually was executed in 2021, and that was prior to my coming to Douglas County. We actually cut over to our newest version, which is called Pro Suite, which is a package of the Central Square CAD in late 2023. To that end, Unify, like Chief Connor said, it allows the Sheriff's Office to see the initial information that is placed in a CAD call. Our operators at E911 are emergency medical dispatchers, meaning that when someone calls with an EMS emergency, we must follow that protocol prior to transfer to the Sheriff's Office. And so that means that if a call requires both fire, EMS, and law enforcement, our operators have to fully go through the EMD, or emergency medical dispatch protocol. But to your initial question, yes, there are many different CAD systems, and as our services become more complex, we will at some point reevaluate Central Square to see if that is actually the CAD that we choose to continue to do. That is the CAD vendor, I'm sorry, that we continue to do business with.
Is 911 satisfied with Central Square?
We have had some issues with Central Square, so we will be reevaluating at some point.
Is it likely that are you leaning more towards keeping the Central Square or moving away from that as an option?
Well, we have to evaluate, and it does take a while to, if we do decide to go with another CAD vendor, it does take some time to integrate. It takes at least a year or more to integrate into another CAD vendor.
And so if you switch to a different CAD vendor, we're going to be doing all of this all over again. You would still have the cost of the service itself a new subscription, the training that would have to be paid for, data platform, implementation, all of that would have to be done again?
Well, we don't know, in looking at the technology, we don't know because Unify is a package of Central Square. And so right now, as Chief Deputy Connor indicated, we both have that particular CAD system. I don't know concretely if Unify would work necessarily with another CAD vendor if 911 were to so choose to go to another CAD.
Do you have 911's share of these proposed costs in your current budget?
No, we do not.
Would you have it in your ongoing budget?
No, particularly with the build of our backup 911 center. We do not.
Did you agree to split the cost of these services?
No.
And you said it would mitigate the current issues, but wouldn't resolve, so no matter what, you are still going to have to take in the calls and transfer them to to the Sheriff's Department's dispatch center because they cannot take in their own calls?
Yes, so with 911, just in the basic infrastructure of 911, anytime someone calls or texts 911, that's going to come into the public safety answering point for Douglas County, and so that's your 911 system. And so it is that 911 infrastructure that we talk about with Next Generation that allows 911 to receive the Annie and Ally, which is the automatic number identifier and automatic location identifier of callers, and that's part of the 911 infrastructure. So that will still happen, and so those calls will still need to be transferred, yes.
And that's a statutory requirement. It's not like we as the Board of Commissioners could negotiate around. The law requires the point of entry for those emergency calls to be 911, is that correct?
Yes, 911 is the first point of entry for emergency calls where someone dials or texts 911.
What's the current delay in intake to transfer of calls?
In 2024, it ranged, but the average was about 86 seconds.
And so that's about a minute and a half of delay for the caller to have services dispatched and sent out. Can you just explain that process to us?
So when someone calls or texts 911, 911 operators are required to first greet the caller to ensure that they have received the proper PSAP or the proper public safety answering point. Then they are to ask them what is the address of the emergency. Once they receive the address of the emergency, they are asking the caller to repeat the address for verification. Once they receive that information, they are asking for the phone number, and then the next question is, what is the problem? Tell me exactly what happened, so that we can determine at that point what responder they need. They may just need fire EMS. They may need fire EMS and law enforcement, or it may be a call for the city of Douglasville. And so that information is obtained, and so that we can gather the information to determine what is needed to go on a particular call.
And so it's not the actual call that's being mitigated, then it's just that they can see the information. There still has to be a transfer of the caller with the emergency. Like, you have to release that call to the
Yes.
Sheriff's Department before they can do anything with it.
So the transfer is what we call in the emergency services world a handshake. And so once 911 receives the information that it needs to receive, we handshake that call over to the sheriff's office, at which point that caller then becomes their caller. What was the second part of your question? I'm sorry.
When they're able to see the information coming in, can they simultaneously dispatch, or do they have to wait until you all are finished before they can act on the call?
So we will need to determine what that looks like, and I did have a conversation with Chief Deputy this morning to let him know that we would need to establish an MOU between the departments to determine what is the expectation of 911, what is the expectation of the sheriff's office, and how do we make this work going forward? Because it will just depend simply on what information they need in order to be able to dispatch. Most times, traditionally, what's needed is an address to at least get someone started. However, there is other information that is still needed and required so that we make sure also that our first responsibility is the safety of our public safety responders. And so that definitely has to be considered as well.
And so and I see the request is for this to come out of the fund balance. What's the plan for paying for the ongoing costs moving forward? And I guess that would be a question for both departments.
For 911, it is not a cost that we have considered in our budget, considering that inflation has gone up. A lot of our contracted expenses are increasing, and our 911 fees, unfortunately, have not increased. And we also have to consider what happens with Next Generation 911 and its funding, as well as we will be standing up a brand new backup center Q1 of 2026. So we have a lot of expenses, and this was unfortunately not one that has been included in our budget.
And am I correct? Recently, the federal government determined that they would not be giving funds to local 911s for the implementation of Next Gen 911. We would be responsible for those costs.
So federal funding has been omitted out of this year's budget cycle for Next Generation 911, and I did draft a memorandum to send to the Board of Commissioners late Friday evening.
And the rollover to Next Gen is mandatory. Like, we don't have the option to continue using E911. At some point, we will be required to have Next Gen.
Yes, so with the telecommunications companies supporting the legacy infrastructure of 911, that support will be ending, and so it's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when we do have to implement Next Generation 911, and so we are looking at those options right now.
And Chief Deputy Connor, this is also not in the Sheriff's Department's current budget?
No, ma'am, this is not something we anticipated having to do this year.
And then what's the plan, or have you guys already projected how you're going to add this into your current Sheriff's Department's budget for next year going forward? Or would you be asking for an increase to accommodate these additional charges in the 2026 budget?
Well, we would certainly have to add it to our next year's budget approval process, because if we don't have it this year, we won't have it next year.
Madam Chair, I yield back. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Kenneth Jones. Commissioner Braxton, you have the floor.
All right, thank you. All right, quick question, and maybe this is for you, Director Harley. In regards to the EMD, do you have an idea what the percentage of calls fit into the EMD category?
So with our emergency medical dispatch, we do have the data. However, I do not have it in my head today, but I can get that to your office.
Okay, yeah, I was trying to get just a gauge of how many.
We definitely so, and I'm sure that actually Chief Allen is here, so they do receive a very high amount of calls that require, any EMS call requires emergency medical dispatch.
Okay, all right.
Chief Allen's coming up here.
Okay, all right, Chief Allen, thank you. Good morning.
We keep them very busy.
Okay, all right. So again, just to restate the question, I was trying to get an idea of metrics for the EMD calls that come into 911. What percentage of the calls actually are considered EMD?
So normally, not EMD, but our EMS calls, we normally range anywhere between 82 and 86% on our EMS calls.
82 to 86%. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. And then my next question is, with the proposed implementation of this CAD service, what would be the percentage of time saved from having another operator from the sheriff's office, I guess, go in and do the data entry over again? Do we have any metrics to show what will be that savings, either from a time or a cost standpoint?
I think that that's something that will have to be determined at a later date. If it is approved, that will be something that will have to be determined based on the data that's received.
Okay. All right, and that's fair enough. Next question I have, and just going back in regards to the federal cuts to next gen that's being
Yes.
proposed at the federal level, and just understanding, and you probably have a hierarchy of prioritization of what are the highest needs for E911 for us to get ready to transition to next gen, and just want to see where this fits into that hierarchy, if you will, if we approve or if we're, as we're considering this CAD service.
Well, so with your emergency services, I wouldn't say that there is a true hierarchy. I would say more or less that there are competing priorities.
Okay.
And so emergency services and its efficiency is a competing priority for the public, because, you know, ultimately that is our goal, is to be as efficient as we can with our emergency services in Douglas County. So I would more or less classify that as competing priorities.
Okay. All right. And I guess my other question, as we're thinking through next gen 911, is this considered in that range of true next gen as we're transitioning and what's going to be mandated for E911 and emergency services?
This, I wouldn't say is necessarily, would not be considered in next gen, because next gen is speaking directly to your E911 center and changing out that greater than 50-year-old infrastructure of 911. So this would not fall in the range of next generation 911.
Okay. All right. All right. And I think those are all the questions that I had there. So, Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner.
I just had one last one.
Okay.
You mentioned efficiency, and that made me think, what is the most efficient setup for the answering, relaying, dispatching of 911 calls, and how does this help us get closer to that?
The most efficient setup, if you will, well, many communities have their emergency services situated differently. Ours just so happens to be situated this way. In my previous experiences, what I can speak to the best is I came from a more consolidated system. However, what this does do is it does allow for a CAD-to-CAD interface so that the sheriff's office can see those 911 calls being entered earlier prior to the actual handshake or transfer of the actual caller to the sheriff's office.
What's a consolidated system?
So a consolidated system, or PSAP, is where there are multiple agencies under one umbrella. And the way that does assist is, as things are happening, those events are gathered real time in one place.
And so, and how does that differ from what we have now?
It differs from what we have now because we do have our E911 center that dispatches for Douglas County Fire EMS and also for the Douglasville Police Department. The sheriff's office has its own sheriff dispatch. And so with those 911 calls, again, they are transferred and in a handshake manner to the sheriff's office for dispatch.
And there's other, I guess there's other jurisdictions then that don't have the last piece of that?
That is
the
correct.
handshake. So it would be, the call would come in and then 911 directs, this is in Douglasville PD's area dispatch to the location, and they would go and they can see the information in real time? Am I understanding that correctly?
As a call would come in, just say, for instance, it's a call that requires fire, EMS, and law enforcement, that call would be entered into the CAD system, and it would go to both agencies simultaneously within that PSAP.
No, I really do yield back, Madam Chair.
Okay,
I got
thank you.
follow-up.
Okay, Commissioner, you have it.
All right, thank you.
Mhm.
So staying in that line of question, I'm just curious, do we have an idea of what that price tag would look like to do that consolidated system? Is there any estimates, or is there any way just to get an idea what that would potentially look like?
So with different agencies, it's different. There are some agencies that have, for instance, cities that are not necessarily, that have cities and municipalities that are within a particular county, but you might have your county services and your city services under one umbrella. So it just looks different. With some cities, they pay a dispatch subsidy. With some, it just depends. So it's not really a hard line number, particularly when you're talking about services that fall under one county.
Okay. All right, well, that is something for me. Thanks for bringing that to my attention. I would like to get more in details with that later.
How many counties have this not consolidated set up? Do you know?
I do not know how many counties are not consolidated, but I know that there are many who are.
Yeah.
Madam Chair?
Well, I got
Oh.
one.
I'd like to
Sure.
follow up with you're wondering about a cost. It's gonna be, this cost is gonna be a lot less than it would be to be consolidated. And the reason being is the sheriff's office dispatchers do different duties than 911 operators do. So you're looking at how many people would you need per shift to dispatch for the sheriff's office?
We would probably need about 8 or 9 per shift.
8 or 9?
Because it would depend on how many radios you all currently have. So how many radios do you all currently operate per shift?
3.
So that would then indicate, so we already have 3 dispatchers. We have one for Douglasville Police, Douglasville Traffic, Fire, EMS, and so then that would be a need for 6 dispatchers, but we would also have to have a dedicated number of call takers. So I would say a minimum of 9 per shift.
9, but just to take what you've got now, and if you add the sheriff's office services, what would be the amount of employees you would need?
Well, right now, we currently, and then this goes into a whole nother arena, is that we currently need more without the sheriff dispatch. We need more positions without sheriff dispatch. But if we had sheriff dispatch, it would require, at minimum, about 9 to 10 operators per shift.
Just to take care of the sheriff's office?
No.
Okay, how
no.
many just to take?
That would be all inclusive with the sheriff's office. So that would include 3 radio dispatch consoles for the sheriff's office. That would include fire, EMS, and then 2 for Douglasville PD. And so that would be 6. And so then we would need at least 3 to 4 more who would be dedicated as call takers, because the thing would be to delineate those roles, because you don't, as a last resort, you want dispatchers having to answer 911 calls. Now, in 911 centers across the country, that happens, but that is not optimal. So you would want to delineate and have a set of dedicated call takers that their role would just specifically and very strictly be to receive those 911 calls and then enter those things into CAD, where those calls would then electronically be fielded out to whichever dispatcher is dispatching that particular.
So would it be safe to say at least 6 per shift to take on the sheriff's office responsibilities that you would need to add compared to what you have now?
I would say about 5.
5.
4 or 5.
And how many shifts do you have?
We have 2.
Okay.
So
you-
we have 4. We have 4 in all, but we operate 6A to 6P, 6P to 6A, A, B, C, and D team.
So you got 4 shifts.
We got
that
4
you would need
shifts.
5 people on each shift.
We would need more than that because we would have to have 3 additional dispatchers to accommodate 3 additional radios.
Right, so we're looking at 5 people to take on the sheriff's office per shift and 4 shifts, so that's 20 people. Is that what I'm understanding?
Per shift?
You said you need 5 per shift to take on the sheriff's office responsibilities, not considering the other. You're saying 9 total.
Chief Connors
So-
and, Chief
Yeah.
Connor, and actually, that's a discussion for you all to have.
Well, I'm trying to answer his question.
Okay.
So to come up with a cost, if we even just said 3 per shift, 4 shifts, that's 12 people. And with salary and benefits of a radio operator, you're looking around $100,000 per person. So you're looking at a minimum of $1.2 million just in salaries to take on the responsibilities to consolidate it, if it only takes 3 employees per shift. Because the employees at the sheriff's office have to be retained to do the other responsibilities that they're required to do on a law enforcement perspective. So I was trying to get to, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm trying to get to your answer, and I had to gather some information to do that. So I think you're looking at 30,000 versus 1.2 a year.
Okay. And I guess I was even asking for even like the application or the software itself. Is there a different package? Is there a different software, different application that will accommodate the consolidated approach?
Not with Central Square that I'm aware of.
But outside of Central Square, there may be.
Well, there's other platforms you
Yeah, other
can use,
platforms.
but
Okay.
you're probably to implement and to add them all and connected like they should be. I mean, we shouldn't be on 2 different contracts. We should be on 1 contract. We're in 1 county. So, I mean, I'd say, I'm gonna throw a number out there, 6 million to go to a new system and have sheriff's office and 911.
It would be more than that. Yeah, it would be more than that. So basically the CAD to CAD interface is just that. It's a CAD to CAD interface. So the actual caller though still would need to be transferred. And I think that's where the angst or the confusion lies, is that again, it mitigates in that it does allow the sheriff dispatch to see 911's CAD interface. However, it doesn't resolve that handshake that would still need to take place.
Okay, thank you. All right, Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Commissioner Braxton. That handshake, I believe you just mentioned, Director, you said would be probably you all would talk about an MOU as to how that handshake would occur, the handoff. I just cannot take my eye off those 86 seconds. Will this system shrink that 86 seconds for our citizens? You know, for your response or whoever your crimes, will it shrink it? You know, you said mitigated, will it, you know, when you look at your analysis, maybe a little later, you know, when you go back and look at everything, you think instead of 86 seconds, you know, every second counts in healthcare, it really does. Will it shrink it to 20 seconds? I'm just wondering.
Well, Madam
I
Chair,
know
I
it
don't
was-
like to make assumptions when it comes to emergency services. It will have to be something that will need to be reevaluated by both departments.
Right.
As we move forward. And like I said, you know, establishing an agreement so that we can understand what needs to happen from a 911 perspective, what needs to happen from a sheriff's office perspective. From their perspective, I know that they need that law enforcement information, you know, and they need that information that allows their deputies to be able to go home safely at night. And so we're very clear on that. But also understanding that for our citizens, we also bear a huge responsibility to our citizens in ensuring that emergency medical dispatch part is taken care of with fire EMS response. As far as what the CAD to CAD interface does, it will have to be something that we will have to evaluate.
Yeah. And then I believe, Chief, you said that the system, you know, we could, the contract could be ended at any time if we wanted to go to a new system, but you said you know, we need something now,
Right.
today. Sounds like those 86, a minute and a half is huge.
To answer your question that you posed to us, I feel certain that it's going to reduce the time. How much, I don't know. But I feel certain that having the information already there provided, instead of having to ask somebody in the middle of an emergency again that gets angry or agitated, that you're having to ask it for second, maybe even third time, is going to reduce the time. And your second question was about?
I think that was it,
Oh,
about
I
the
thought you had
86
posed the second
seconds.
one.
I was just saying the 86 oh, I mentioned, you said the contract could be ended at any time with, with our company, the existing Central
Yes,
Square.
it's
You
a-
said that could be ended at any time, you know, right?
You have to give them a notice.
A notice, is it?
But yeah, it's worked into the agreement.
In the agreement,
There's a-
yeah, the
there's a
agreement
way-
could be ended.
A way out
Okay,
before the year's up.
before the year's up. Because right now, I believe we need something rather than nothing, in my opinion. I'm just, you know, we want to deal with that 86 seconds. I've heard finances, I want to deal with, not this, I don't want to deal with, I like finances, I think that's smart and savvy, but I'm dealing with seconds. That's important. So I'm going to yield the floor to our vice chair and see what he has to say.
So basically, during this whole long conversation, we're just talking about compatibility. That's it, so that your system can be upgraded to what the Doaksville Police Department's already done, 911's already done, and for some reason that wasn't communicated along the way, so we're just trying to get the sheriff's office up to where everybody sees off the same platform. I mean, it's easy to understand because in those seconds of how the emergency's coming through, I'm sure, Sheriff, you're not going to send one of your deputies into a scene if he cannot see that information. You're going to stage him somewhere until all that information comes in before you allow them to go in for their safety. Am I correct on that? So we are talking time is of the essence. And during an emergency, I'm just being honest, during an emergency, and we're talking about lives online, this is very minimal in regards to somebody's life, especially from not either our citizens or any one of our employees, our medical, from our fire department, all the way to the sheriff's office, even to the Doaksville Police Department. Time is of the essence, and I understand this. This is just talking about getting this one system up to where everybody else already is. And then, of course, we know there's going to be changes coming with Next Gen 911. We'll address that at that time.
Exactly.
But this is just talking about compatibility. Your 911 dispatchers do things different than what the 911 does, dispatchers do. There's other additional things that you have to enter and things that I know that we've talked about that you go on that you're needed for the law enforcement side later on down the line. So this is just about compatibility, getting your CAD systems up to see everybody's information, and I don't see how in the world it's not going to be a time savings. Because at least you're already going to have an address, get an idea of what's going on while they're driving there, and they can read that information in real time. And then when they get there, they already know instead of having to wait for everything to come over. Are we all agree on that? Maybe?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'll go back, Madam Chair.
Okay. Sheriff, you,
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
good morning.
Commissioner Ackerman explained it just the way it should be explained. Just that simple to get it where everybody's on the same page. City, 911, and us, everybody on the same page. Less money if we go ahead and do it the way I done a lot of his chores last 2 weeks because I told him, you sit down, you get 911, we're going to resolve that, and you find the best way out. And the plan that he came up with, after I went over and looked at it, I really did. I was happy about it, to be honest with you, because I thought we finally could get it resolved and everybody's on the same page with less money. I was really happy about that, and I still stand here today happy about it because that's our best way out. Because if you change your mind next year and go to a new system, they're going to wasted money. So let's keep what we got, this is my opinion only, and then when that time comes to upgrade it or do what you want to do, we'll revisit it then. But that little thing what we come up with, that's our way out, her way out, and the cities, because we all be on the same page. Cut down them seconds everybody talking about. And it is important. You know, you kill a
looking at
man
me, I'm
in
the
3
one
seconds,
that,
so it's,
Sheriff, I got it. You know we get it.
yes, okay.
Not savings, but seconds. We want to deal with the seconds right now.
Yes, ma'am.
That's important.
I yield.
Oh, you're so wonderful. Okay, any other questions, board? Any other questions regarding this matter? Okay, and thank you, Chief, for just verifying that this agreement could be dissolved at any time with it being written in the agreement. And then certainly we still have time to negotiate next gen and other processes, but right now we're just dealing with the matter at hand. We have a situation that we need to all, as responsible appointed officials, elected officials, deal with to make sure that our citizens are safe here in Douglas County. Thank you. All right, Madam.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I do have one other thing.
Okay, wait.
I know the last time that Commissioner Mitchell wasn't here, he was a little bit cross with us when something controversial was on the consent agenda and he didn't get a chance to weigh in or have his say. So if this is going on the agenda tomorrow, I would ask that it be a separate
Yes,
agenda
okay.
item. So if he has any comments he wants to make, he has the opportunity to do so.
Yes, because it was difficult to get it off last time. Yes, okay. Sounds good. Madam Clerk?
Okay. Our next agenda item is board appointments to the Board of Assessors, the Library Board, and Animal Control Advisory Board. The Animal Control Advisory Board, we have two terms that are ending in June. One of those is Evelyn Fitzgerald for District 2, and she is requesting to be reappointed. Mr. Capello's term is the chairman appointment. We have not been able to get an answer from him on whether he desires to be reappointed or not. So I would suggest we hold off on that appointment.
Which one? Which
Ken
one?
Capello.
Oh, he said, okay.
And then our next one is Board of Assessors. Rita Facina Thomas, her term expires actually tomorrow, and she is requesting reappointment. We received one new application, which I emailed to the commissioners from Francisco Hartley. So we'll just need to have a motion tomorrow on that one. On the library board, we have Tracy Crooks, whose term ends on June 30th. She is requesting reappointment. We have not received any new applications for that board. And if it's okay with you, we received late Friday afternoon an application for the paratransit, which we have a couple of vacancies on. So if it's okay with the board, I would add that to the agenda tomorrow as well. And that application is from Vanessa Livingston. She also serves on the Animal Control Board as well.
Any questions, board, with the request from our clerk? Y'all okay with that? Okay,
Yes.
sounds good. You wanted to add that one as well? Paratransit?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. All right.
The only other item on the agenda are approval of expenses for tomorrow.
Okay, we have the approval of expenses tomorrow as well. Okay,
I have a question.
all right. Commissioner Raxton, you have the floor. I believe you wanted to add something.
Yeah, and it's in regards to in the same discussion about boards, and the one board that I did want to just bring attention to is the Tourism and History Commission Board, which has not been meeting, and just wanted to bring that up as an item for discussion with us as Board of Commissioners on the viability of maintaining that board. And I know that there's been some conversations and discussions about getting the board up and going and having the bylaws developed and approved. So again, just wanted to put that out in public comment during work session. So just want to do that
Okay.
this
Did
time.
you want to discuss it? Is that what you're
Yeah, or,
implying? Chief of Staff, if you could just
Yes.
weigh in and tell us a little bit about the bylaws related to that commission.
So I don't currently have the bylaws on me, but I do know that there have been discussions with the county administrator to look at a couple of the boards that we have regarding historic preservation, tourism, as well as the cemetery commission. We are currently working with the Planning and Zoning Department, who currently right now oversees the cemetery commission, and we are taking a look to see if there's a way to do some combinations of the boards, and also looking at the actual purpose of the boards. And so right now, that is, from my discussions with the county administrator, that is where we are in regards to the boards. He has been having conversations with, I believe, Mr. Phillips, who is the the chairman right now of the Historic Preservation and Tourism Commission. So that's the last conversation that I've had about it. But I can get you some further information if needed.
Okay, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that sufficient? Any other comments, board, or you have anything else in terms of discussion? If there's no further discussion, Madam County Attorney, do we need to go into executive session?
Yes, we do, and today is for the purpose of personnel, litigation, and real estate.
Okay. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to go into executive session for personnel, litigation, cybersecurity, and real estate? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion? We have a motion and a second. Please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 4-0 unanimous vote to go into executive session, and thank you, Board of Commissioners. Citizens of Douglas County, we are taking a brief pause for the calls to go into executive session, and the Board of Commissioners and I will return momentarily. Thank you.